The transport cage rattled to a halt at the arena's edge, and Captain Marcus Chen felt the eyes of thousands upon him. The Vrathian frontier world of Kilos 9 stretched before him, a blood-soaked proving ground where conquered species were brought to die for entertainment. The crowd's roar was deafening, a cacophony of alien voices demanding violence. High above the arena floor, seated upon an obsidian throne, was Queen Solara of the Vrathian Empire. Her navy blue skin seemed to absorb the harsh sunlight, contrasting starkly with her flowing blonde hair that fell like liquid gold across her armored shoulders. Her violet eyes were cold, calculating, as she surveyed the latest offering to her people's bloodlust. Marcus had been captured 3 days ago during the siege of Outpost Meridian. His unit, the 7th Tactical Response Battalion, had held the line for 6 hours against overwhelming odds before the Vrathian shock troopers broke through. He'd watched his soldiers fall one by one, their plasma rifles melting under the sustained barrage of enemy fire. He'd been the last one standing, fighting with nothing but his combat knife when they'd finally subdued him. Now they'd taken everything. His armor. His weapons. Even his boots. The cage door opened with a metallic shriek. A massive Vrathian guard, easily 8 feet tall with crimson war paint streaked across his azure face, shoved Marcus forward onto the sand. The human stumbled but didn't fall, his bare feet finding purchase on the hot ground. A human, the arena announcer's voice boomed through translation devices. Captured from the failed defense of Meridian. Watch as he learns the price of resistance against the Empire. The crowd erupted in approval. Marcus looked up at Queen Solara, meeting her gaze across the distance. Something flickered in those violet eyes, curiosity, perhaps. Or merely anticipation of another predictable slaughter. The first gate across the arena groaned open. What emerged made the crowd's cheers intensify. A Kragath warrior, one of the Empire's slave soldiers, bred specifically for gladiatorial combat. The creature stood 9 feet tall, its 4 arms each ending in bone blades that had been surgically enhanced with metal edges. Its exoskeleton was scarred from countless battles, each mark a testament to its lethality. Marcus's military training kicked in immediately. He analyzed the arena, 50 meters across, circular, with high walls designed to prevent escape. No weapons scattered on the sand. No cover except for the corpses of previous fighters that littered the periphery. The Kragath charged, its bone blades whistling through the air. Marcus didn't run. He'd learned early in his military career that panic killed faster than any enemy. Instead, he watched the creature's approach, noting how its front 2 arms led while the rear pair positioned for a follow-up strike. The pattern was predictable, designed for overwhelming quick opponents. He waited until the last possible second, then dove forward and to the right. The Kragatha's front blades missed Marcus by inches, the displaced air hot against his skin. As he rolled through the sand, his hand closed around something hard, a femur from some long-dead fighter, bleached white by the sun but still solid. Not much of a weapon, but it was something. The crowd's jeering turned to confused murmurs as Marcus came up in a combat stance, the bone club held defensively. The Kragath turned with surprising speed for its size, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. Queen Solara leaned forward on her throne, her blonde hair catching the light. This human moved differently than others she'd seen thrown into the arena. There was no desperate flailing, no panicked scrambling. He moved with purpose, with discipline. The Kragath attacked again, this time more cautiously. Its 4 blades came in coordinated strikes, high, low, left, right, a pattern designed to overwhelm any defense. Marcus backpedaled, using the bone to deflect what he could, accepting shallow cuts on his arms and torso rather than taking a killing blow. Blood ran down his chest, hot and urgent. Pain was old friend to Marcus. He'd been wounded 7 times in his career, each scar a lesson learned. The key was to not let pain become panic. The Kragath pressed harder, sensing weakness. Its rear blades came up for a finishing strike. Marcus waited for that exact moment. As the creature committed to the attack, he dropped low and swept forward with the bone club, targeting not the heavily armored torso but the joint where the Kragatha's leg connected to its body. The crack was audible even over the crowd's roar. The Kragatha's leg buckled. As it stumbled, Marcus was already moving, bringing the bone club down on another leg joint with brutal precision. Military close-quarters combat training emphasized one principle above all others: disable, then destroy. The creature crashed to the sand, and Marcus was on it instantly. He used his full weight, driving the sharpened end of the bone into the softer tissue between exoskeleton plates at the neck. Once. Twice. 3 times. The Kragath stopped moving. Marcus stood slowly, chest heaving, blood dripping from a dozen wounds. He looked up at Queen Solara again. Her expression had changed, the cold calculation replaced by something more intense. Interest. The arena had gone silent. No one cheered. No one jeered. Again. Solara's voice rang out across the arena. Send another. 2 gates opened simultaneously. What emerged made even hardened Vrathian warriors lean forward in their seats, a pair of thornback ravagers, 6-legged predators with poisoned spines covering their backs. They were usually sent in only after a fighter had survived 3 battles, not after the first. Marcus adjusted his grip on the bloodied bone, his jaw set with determination. The ravagers charged. The thornback ravagers split apart, attempting to flank Marcus from both sides, pack hunter tactics. Their poisoned spines bristled, ready to launch at close range. Each spine carried enough toxin to paralyze a Vrathian warrior in seconds. Marcus didn't give them the chance to coordinate. He charged the left ravager, closing distance before it could launch its spines. The creature reared back in surprise. Prey wasn't supposed to attack first. He slid beneath its underbelly, using momentum and the slick sand to carry him through. As he passed underneath, he drove the bone club upward into the softer tissue of its throat, then rolled clear as the creature's death throes sent it crashing down. The second ravager was already launching spines. Marcus grabbed the corpse of the first, using it as a shield. Dozens of spines thudded into dead flesh instead of living. When the barrage stopped, he was moving again. This time he had no weapon, the bone club had broken off inside the first ravager. But the arena was now littered with resources. Marcus grabbed one of the Kragatha's severed bone blades, the metal-enhanced edge still sharp. The remaining ravager circled warily. Queen Solara stood from her throne, her navy blue hands gripping the railing. Never in her reign had she seen a weaponless captive survive 2 waves. Her violet eyes tracked Marcus's every movement, analyzing, calculating. The ravager lunged. Marcus sidestepped and brought the blade down in a diagonal slash that caught it across the eyes. The creature shrieked, temporarily blinded. He pressed the advantage, methodically carving through its leg joints until it collapsed, then delivered a killing strike to its brain stem. Silence again. Marcus stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by 3 corpses, his body a canvas of cuts and bruises. His chest heaved with exertion, but his eyes remained sharp, focused. Enough. Queen Solara's voice carried across the arena with absolute authority. This human has proven his worth threefold. What is your name, warrior? Marcus looked up at her, blood dripping into the sand. Captain Marcus Chen. United Earth Defense Force. Service number 2847-6693, Charlie. A ripple of surprise went through the crowd. Even in defeat, he maintained military protocol, gave only name, rank, and number. He wasn't begging. Wasn't breaking. Solara descended from her throne, walking down the steps to the arena's edge, something she'd never done before. Her royal guard tensed, but she waved them back. Her blonde hair seemed to glow in the harsh light as she stood at the barrier, navy blue skin unmarked by battle but radiating authority nonetheless. You fight with the discipline of a soldier but the fury of a cornered beast, Marcus Chen. You interest me. I offer you a choice: die here with honor, or live as my champion. Marcus met her gaze steadily. What does being your champion entail? War, Queen Solara said simply. The Vrathian Empire faces rebellion in the outer territories. Human colonies have joined forces with the Kethvar Confederation and the Zorathian Collective. They believe they can break free of imperial rule. I need warriors who can teach my soldiers how humans think, how they fight. You will train my elite units and lead them in battle. In return, you will have status, resources, and the protection of the crown. Marcus's mind raced. Around the arena, Vrathian citizens watched this unprecedented exchange. He was being offered life, but at what cost? Training alien soldiers to fight against his own species? Yet he was also being offered something else: proximity to power, access to imperial military intelligence, a position from which he might actually make a difference. And if I refuse? He asked. Solara's expression didn't change. Then you die here, now, with honor. I will not torture you or humiliate you further. You have earned that much. Why me? Marcus pressed. You have thousands of warriors. What makes one human valuable? For the first time, something like respect flickered in Solara's violet eyes. Because you fought 3 battles unarmed and won through skill and will alone. Because when the Kragath fell, you didn't mutilate its corpse or roar in triumph, you simply moved to the next threat. You fight with controlled fury, Captain Chen. That is rare in any species. She gestured to her royal guard. I have conquered 17 worlds. I have seen warriors from 100 species. Most fight from desperation or bloodlust. You fight from duty. That cannot be trained, it must be earned through discipline and sacrifice. That is why I want you. Marcus looked around the arena one more time. At the corpses of creatures designed to kill him. At the crowd of aliens who'd come to watch him die. At the navy blue queen with blonde hair who was offering him survival at the price of everything he'd sworn to protect. But survival also meant possibility. Dead, he was nothing. Alive, even compromised, he might find a way to help his people. I accept, Marcus said. But I have conditions. The crowd gasped. Solara's eyes narrowed dangerously. You are in no position to make demands, human. You said I earned honor through combat. Then honor my request: treat any human prisoners in your custody with the same respect you show your own wounded soldiers. No torture. No execution for entertainment. Medical care and proper food. Solara studied him for a long moment. Around them, the arena held its collective breath. Then, slowly, she nodded. Agreed. Your people will be treated as prisoners of war, not slaves. But you, Marcus Chen, will train my Crimson Legion for the campaign against the rebel territories. Starting with the assault on the human colony world of New Terran. Marcus's blood went cold. New Terran was where his sister lived. 3 months later, Marcus stood on the bridge of the Vrathian battlecruiser Unyielding Dawn, watching New Terran grow larger in the viewscreen. Queen Solara stood beside him, her navy blue skin illuminated by the amber glow of tactical displays. Her blonde hair was bound back in a warrior's braid, and she wore full combat armor rather than her ceremonial robes. Your training has exceeded expectations, she said. The Crimson Legion fights differently now, smarter, more adaptable. You have made them formidable. Marcus said nothing. Over the past 3 months, he'd walked a razor's edge. He'd trained Vrathian soldiers in human tactics, but he'd also subtly taught them to recognize civilian areas, to understand rules of engagement, to fight soldiers rather than slaughter populations. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. He'd also gathered intelligence, fleet positions, supply routes, communication protocols. Information that might prove valuable if he ever found a way to transmit it to Earth forces. The rebel fleet is in position, Solara's tactical officer reported. 16 human cruisers, 8 Kethvar destroyers, and the Zorathian carrier Defiant Hope. They're protecting the orbital stations. Marcus studied the tactical display with professional detachment. The rebel formation was solid but predictable, defensive positioning designed to protect the colony below. He could see 3 ways to break it. Your recommendation, champion? Solara asked. This was the moment he'd been preparing for. Marcus gestured to the display. The Kethvar destroyers are their weak point, good shields, weak point defense. Send fighter squadrons to draw their fire while the Crimson Legion's assault ships flank through this debris field. The human cruisers will break formation to support the destroyers, opening a corridor to the carrier. Solara smiled, cold and predatory. Efficient. See it done. But Marcus wasn't finished. However, I recommend broadcasting a surrender demand first. Give the civilians time to evacuate to the southern continent. There are 3 million people in New Terran City. The Queen's expression hardened. We are not here to negotiate, Captain Chen. No, Marcus agreed. We're here to conquer. Dead civilians don't pay taxes or work factories. Living ones do. The rebellion loses support when populations see the Empire as reasonable rather than monstrous. This isn't mercy, it's strategy. Solara studied him carefully. Around them, the bridge crew worked in tense silence. Finally, she nodded. Broadcast the demand. They have 1 hour to respond. As the communication went out, Marcus allowed himself one small breath of relief. His sister would have time to evacuate. That was something. The response came back in 40 minutes. The rebel fleet commander, Admiral Sarah Chen, rejected the surrender demand. Marcus's heart stopped as he recognized his sister's voice. Queen Solara looked at him with those piercing violet eyes. Your recommendation now, champion? Will you break your own blood's fleet, or will your loyalty to the Empire prove false?